Hi guys, I'm Richard Winstone, the Regulator Guy. This video's got a few updates on the energy industry, stuff that you can expect to see over the next couple of weeks, things that have come out of Ofgem over the last couple of weeks. Before I get started with that, I just wanted to thank everybody that's been a follower and supporter of Over 50s Money over the last few years. I've been there since its inception back in 2019, and I'll be leaving Over 50s Money at the end of this month, hence the creation of the Regulator Guy. I'm going to continue with this campaigning work on the energy industry. I want to branch out into other regulated industries as well. So I've got a petition out on mid-contract price rises for your broadband and mobile phone contracts with Ofcom. I'll be doing some research into Ofwat, and I'm open to any suggestions or anything you think I should be looking at. Please do email me. My new email address is richard@theregulatorguy.co.uk. Or you can follow me on my blog, which is at theregulatorguy.co.uk. So I just wanted to thank everybody for your support over the last 4 years, and hopefully you can continue to support my work over the coming period. I'll be starting that full time from the 1st of April, which is why I've been a bit quiet over the last couple of months, where we've been doing handover processes at work to make sure everything runs smoothly as I exit Over 50s Money and begin this new venture as the Regulator Guy full time. So thank you all for that. So the energy industry, let's talk about what Ofgem's been up to and what's coming up. So Ofgem have obviously recently announced a new price cap. That will come into effect from the 1st of April. Most of us are happy that it's coming down by a little over £200. For those of you that have been following me, you'll know that there's some catches in that. So first of all, we'd have hoped for it to come down further. There should have been a bigger decrease. But unfortunately, a couple of increases have been snuck in as well, which reduces the decrease, if that makes sense. So they are increasing standing charges. So whilst our unit costs are coming down, which is making the overall price of the price cap come down, standing charges are actually going up. So those of you on low usage at the moment, you're likely, or it's possible that you will see an increase in your bills, whereas everyone else is getting a decrease because the standard charges are going up by, I think it's around £30. So that's another frustrating thing for us to have to deal with, especially as they're currently consulting on standing charges, and everyone's basically been saying that we want them to come down or be removed. So they've gone the opposite way with that. They've also added a new allowance to the price cap. It's a £28 allowance to account for debt-related costs. So debt in the industry has gone up, and Ofgem have put forward a new allowance to help energy suppliers manage the costs of that. Now, I have some clear opinions on that, but there's some work going on in the background at the moment, so I'm going to hold off before doing a specific video on the debt-related costs allowance. So keep an eye out for that next week. Don't forget to subscribe to the Regulator Guy YouTube channel to make sure you get notified when I do post that video. But yeah, that'll be increasing or adding £28 to each of our energy bills. So that's another frustrating thing Ofgem are doing. On top of that, they've recently launched a call for input on the affordability of energy, which is kind of laughable, obviously, because energy is not affordable anymore. And I've only glanced through it. I've not gone through the entire document yet, and I will do a separate video for it. Again, probably at the beginning of April, once I've got a bit more, once all my time could be focused on this. But I did look at some of it towards the end of the chapter 3. I've read that a few days ago, and I remember being really annoyed by it because they're effectively blaming consumers, and they don't seem to put much onus on the energy suppliers, which was rather frustrating. And they seem to be like blowing a lot of smoke at themselves, if you will, up themselves, if you will. So they were talking about disconnections. I remember getting really particularly frustrated about this point. So they were talking about disconnections in the energy market, and they went all the way back to the mid 80s, way back before I was born. And they were talking about how there were 160,000 disconnections per year in the mid 80s, or at least at its peak, at its worst. And then by the mid 90s, it had come down to, I think it was around 30 or 40,000, they said, which is great. They put in extra protections. And then since 2021, there have been 40 disconnections, just 40, in the energy market since 2021. And obviously in my head, I was like, that doesn't make sense. Those numbers can't be right. That sounds odd. And then I realized what they're saying. They're not talking about people on prepayment meters. They're just talking about those that pay by direct debit or, payment on receipt of bill, standard credit meters. And legislation was passed to make it illegal to turn off their gas and electric. So whilst those numbers have come down significantly from 160,000 to just 40, it's because it's illegal now to disconnect people. And actually, what happens instead is they put people on prepayment meters when they get into debt. They force fit prepayment meters. And then if you don't top up your prepayment meter and you get disconnected, it's called self disconnection because you haven't topped up your prepayment meter. It's your fault that your energy has been cut off, which I just find absolutely disgusting. Honestly, it's one of the worst words they use in the off-gem jargon. Self disconnection is one of my least favorite phrases because no one's choosing to disconnect. It's not a choice. We've been in an energy crisis for the last 2.5 years. People can't afford their energy, and suppliers, at least up until February 2023, were at times illegally force fitting prepayment meters into people's homes. So it's just, yeah, I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Um, I'm obviously going to reply to this affordability call for input. I will point out to them, and I think this is a really key message that they need to understand, that today, from the 1st of April, wholesale energy costs are only £200 a year higher than they were prior to the energy crisis. But our bills are still £450 higher. And that £250 extra, that's all because of Ofgem. They're causing over half of the crisis at the moment because they've made 20 or 30 decisions in the last 3 years. And every one of those decisions was an incremental increase to our bills. So, like this new allowance they've put on for £28, no one gets mad at £28 per year. It's £2 a month, give or take, a little bit more. And we're not going to be in uproar about that. But if over 2 or 3 years they do that 20 to 30 times, we're now £250, £300 a year worse off than we would have been if they just made no decisions over the last 2 or 3 years. And that to me is ridiculous. And you've got to remember, that's not just your household. There's every household, 30 million households. So to the energy supplier, like £20 is what, £600 million? So if you're looking at £200, you're looking at £6 billion extra per year for energy suppliers. And I'm pretty sure it's closer to about £300. So probably closer to £9 billion a year extra in revenue from these decisions that Ofgem have made. And that's just absolutely mental to me. So yeah, I'll be replying to this affordability thing. Their call for input. I'll be posting a video about it next week. I will now be putting the consultation responses onto my blog. So please make sure you subscribe to my blog. It automatically sends emails to you all as soon as I post a new blog. So keep an eye on your inbox. And yeah, so that's everything I've got for the moment on the energy industry. There will be more next week. And I will be posting here on YouTube and onto my blog. So make sure you subscribe to both to keep up to date. Thank you all again for all your support over the last few years and for your continued support going forwards. I'll see you soon.